Hey, I'm Ainsley with Curbside Cycle in Toronto, and today we're talking about the Riese Muller Load 60. So this company was started by Marcus Riese and Heiko Müller. They're both dads, entrepreneurs, and engineers. And their idea behind these bikes is to replace your secondary car with something that can go on and off-road, carrying kids, cargo, dogs, whatever you throw at it. These bikes are designed for urban use, but are equally at home off-road on trails, mountain bike paths, and expeditions. So who is the Riese Muller Load 60 for? This bike is designed to be really rideable for pretty much anybody. It's got a really low center of gravity, which reduces the learning curve to almost zero. You can get on this bike and it's very comfortable to ride from the outset without the usual wobble that you see with traditional Dutch cargo bikes. This bike does really well in urban environments that are littered with potholes and bad road infrastructure, but it's also great off-road. In logging communities in British Columbia, the outports of Newfoundland, even the tundra of the Northwest Territories. This bike can even be used for long expedition tours. The cargo box in the front is super adaptable and lets you add a multitude of options. And as this is a two-wheeled cargo bike, the handling feels more like a regular bike than a traditional three-wheeled cargo bike, which means that it's better at cornering and also a little bit more comfortable in tight spaces. So when you're looking at buying an e-bike, you want to make sure that the motor, the battery, and the display are all really good quality. And that's definitely what you're going to find with a Bosch system. Bosch is a brand made in Germany, and they have such high standards when it comes to their products, as most German products do. So on the Riese Muller Load 60, you're going to find a Bosch Cargo Line Cruise motor system. This is mid-drive, which means that all the brains of it are in the pedals, which is exactly where you want it to be. The Cargo Line Cruise is really quiet and reliable and provides up to 85 Newton meters of torque. Most bikes come with about between 50 and 65, so the fact that this provides 85 gives you a huge extra push when you're pushing loads uphill. The Bosch motor is really intuitive. It only kicks in power when you need it. It's got a very smooth acceleration and deceleration, almost to the point that you don't realize it's there until you realize you're climbing a 45-degree hill. It also provides up to 400% support, meaning for every pedal stroke you put in, you will get 4 back in return from the motor. This bike has 4 assistance modes depending on what you need: Eco, Tour, Sport, and Turbo, and each provide different levels of assistance. Now let's talk about the battery system on this bike. As with the motor, it's powered by Bosch batteries. And this bike specifically has 2 Bosch PowerPack 500 watts that look like this. They're locked to the bike, so they can't be stolen if you're locking up your bike outside. So the main difference between these batteries is in the range that you'll get from them. On a 500 watt battery, give or take, you're gonna get about 80 to 100 kilometers of range out of that battery from full to empty. Whereas with a dual battery system, you might get upwards of 200 kilometers of distance out of those batteries. And of course, the third part that's important on an e-bike is the display. You've got 4 different options for displays on the Riese Muller Load 60. First of all, we've got the Intuvia. It's pretty simple. It's got thumb controls for assist levels with basic information on speed, range, and battery level displayed on a black and white screen. The Kiox is for fitness junkies. It's got a glass touchscreen, as well as fitness data, including cadence and calories. It notifies you if you're traveling above or below your average speed to motivate you to go quicker. It also connects to a heart rate monitor, records trips, and sends data to eBike online portals or the eBike Connect phone app. This one also comes with navigation. It's got route planning capability online that it can send to the Kiox device to connect to apps like Strava and give you responsive orienteering navigation. The bike we've got here comes with the Nion display, which is for off-road exploring and fitness. The fitness capabilities are the same as the Kiox we've just mentioned, but it's also got navigation that saves addresses and recently visited maps, plus place markers to find your way back to a spot when you're riding trails. The last option is a smartphone hub, which unfortunately is not available with a Rohloff internal gear hub. It connects with a Kobe bike app to provide you fitness stats, music, podcasts, audiobooks, on-road, as well as the ability to make or take calls. The mount on the bike charges the phone, and there's a thumb shifter to control what's going on the phone. It also features a simpler black and white display to use when you don't want to use your phone. So a cargo bike wouldn't be a cargo bike without the ability to carry cargo, kids, dogs, kitchen sinks. So if you're carrying cargo or dogs, there are a few different options that you can go with. The low sidewalls option are made of composite plastic. They're pretty low to the ground and are great if you're strapping cargo to the base. The low sidewalls with child cover are great if you're carrying a dog, kids, or tall cargo where you need extra headspace. High sidewalls with a tarpaulin lets you carry cargo without having the lockable storage option of a box. They can be used with child seats, and the tarp can be rolled forward or back to protect your children if it's rainy. The high sidewalls with hard cover features a lockable box and can be used in conjunction with child seats. The high sidewalls with child cover are great for carrying tall cargo or kids. If you're carrying kids, you can add the 2 child seats with footwell option to your Riese Muller. It features 5-point harnesses, height-adjustable padded seats with headrests, and bag storage when the footwell is open. This is only available when paired with low or high sidewalls. The last option you can go with is just the straight-up glove compartment and provides a lockable container to store gloves, wallets, or bags. Riese Muller is expert at offering you customization options up the wazoo for their bikes, and that doesn't stop short at the gearing. There are 3 different options for this bike: Touring, Vario, and Rohloff. Touring features an external Shimano Dior XT drivetrain. If you're looking for a bike that's great on-road and on trail, the Shimano Dior XT drivetrain is a perfect fit. It's got an external derailleur with a traditional chain system and gives you a really wide gamut of gear ratio, which is basically the space between your lowest gear and your highest gear. This bike is perfect for families who are traveling to and fro in the city, doing some recreational rides on the weekend, and looking for a bike that's game for everything. So this bike is really good for using in the city. But what if you want to do an expedition across Canada? Then the Rohloff is your hub. It's an internally geared hub, which means that all the gears are inside and protected from the elements, making it great for winter riding. It has 14 speeds, which gives it a huge amount of range, equivalent to the Shimano XT drivetrain, but with the protection from the elements. Rohloff hubs are used all over the world for expeditions by people who do 60,000 kilometer tours and not once need assistance. And being on brand, with this being a German bike, of course the Rohloff is a German part. The last option you can pick is the Vario hub, which, like the Rohloff, is internal and protected from the elements, but has a little bit less gear range than both the XT and the Rohloff. It's great for families who want to have that protection from the elements, but don't need the huge expedition capability of a Rohloff. It's got continuous shifting, which means that instead of clicking into place up and down a gear range as with a traditional derailleur, you twist it and put it into whatever gear you need anywhere in between the range. Both the Vario and the Rohloff come with a Gates belt drive, which is super cool technology. It actually comes from motorcycles and the design of having an engine belt. And the nice advantage with this is you never have to worry about greasing it, getting anything on your pants, and it lasts about 3 times longer than a regular chain, up to 30,000 kilometers. If you're riding this bike totally off-road or in a rural community, you can take a look at getting the GX option. This option comes with Schwalbe Smart Sam tires with mountain bike nubs on them to make gripping dirt and loose gravel really easy. Smart Sam tires also come with 3mm of puncture-proof resistance built into the tire itself to make sure that you don't get a flat if you run over a nail or something sharp. It also provides wider pedals, which give you the same grippiness as a skateboard to make sure that your feet do not move on those pedals when you're going down hills or dealing with really nasty terrain. The rear carrier is another option you can pick for your Load 60. This is a really neat rack. It's actually connected to the bike here and not at the axle, which means that you maintain the full suspension of the bike while being able to carry a full load and not putting any stress on the rack itself. The last thing we want to chat about is the Avis Shield rear wheel lock, or what we here at Curbside call the cafe lock. This isn't the lock that you're going to be using to lock up your bike to a pole or a post, but what it is meant for is quick stops. So if you're popping into a cafe to grab a coffee, dropping off a package, or sitting with your kids playing at the park and want to make sure that your bike isn't theftable. The Load 60 is incredibly adaptable when it comes to seating position and riding style. If you want to be very upright on the bike, you can put it in the highest position here. There are about 5 inches of space to adjust between the tallest position and the lowest one, meaning that you can get a very upright, relaxed ride or a more aggressive ride down low where you have more control on steeper situations. You've also got adaptability in terms of the cockpit depth, which is the depth between the handlebars and the back of the saddle. If you want to be sitting very upright, you can move this back significantly. Or if your partner is very tall, you can extend the cockpit and make the bike feel functionally bigger. All Riese Muller bikes have aluminum frames, which means that they're stiff, rust-proof, and lightweight. So when you've got a cargo bike and you're carrying a lot of weight, often which is precious cargo, including kids and dogs, you want to make sure that your stopping power is exact. That's where Magura hydraulic disc brakes come in. Hydraulic disc brakes have been known for a long time to excel in really foul weather, where you need to make sure that you have the stopping power that you need when you need it. Magura amps it up a notch by putting hydraulic fluid in the lines instead of traditional cable systems. And what this does is makes it weatherproof to the extreme, because the cables can't freeze up in wet weather that fluctuates between -10 and +5. And let's guess which country Magura comes from. Germany. The last thing we want to talk about on this bike is the absolutely bonkers lighting system. This is a German-made, surprise, surprise, lighting system by a company called Supernova, and it is exceptional in every detail. On the front, we've got the Supernova M99 Pro light, which provides over 400 lumens of light in the low setting and 1150 lumens at the high beam setting. This is absolutely unheard of in the bicycle lighting industry. This light has the option of a low beam and a high beam, which is really necessary when you're doing any sort of expedition riding where ambient city lighting isn't a thing. The rear light is really exceptional too. It has 5 super bright powered LEDs that are visible for nearly 270 degrees, meaning that you're visible from 3 sides of the bike. It also has a brake light which engages when you pull the brake levers to let drivers behind you know that you're slowing down or stopping, which is really important not only in urban environments, but also rural ones. Thanks so much for watching. If you'd like more information on Riese Muller as a brand, or the Load 60 specifically, you can check out our blogs on our website, curbsidecycle.com. We have 2 available. One is called Why Riese Muller and goes into the detail of the full lineup, and the Riese Muller Buyer's Guide helps you pick which features you want on your bicycle. If you're in Toronto, you can book an in-store sales appointment with us at 412 Bloor Street West. And if you're in other parts of Canada or the US, you can find us online and book a remote sales appointment, either by phone or video chat. Subscribe to our channel for more information on our full bike lineup, and we hope to see you soon.